Hello, good evening and happy Independence Day. Welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this fine 9th day of October 2022. My name is Lauryn Kazimoto and Mohammed Mugaluan sign language interpretation. Before we delve into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at the top stories of the night. In our top stories tonight, stop exporting Africa's products in raw form. President Museveni advises nations. Janet Museveni hosts Kenya's First Lady Rachel Ruto. The East African Community presidents call for foreign for region's economic transformation. And in sports, a Gender Table Tennis Association holds first amateur tournament. Good evening once again and welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight. Now we start off this newscast with the heads of state from the East African Community Bloc are calling for concerted commitment by African leaders to eliminate barriers in order to reduce the cost of doing business. While at the Uganda's 60th anniversary, Kenya's President William Ruto said that General Museveni's expertise can help East Africa to achieve the East African Community goals. We have the details in this report.
Heads of states from East Africa and other African countries have graced the 60th independence anniversary for Uganda at Kololo Independence Grounds at the invitation of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Among those who attended in person include the President of Kenya, Somalia, Burundi, South Sudan and Zanzibar. Economic transformation is what dominated the heads of states' addresses. Kenya's President William Ruto declared his commitment to eliminate borders that separate the people of East Africa.
As leaders and as citizens of the East Africa region, for us to work together so that we can transform our borders, which today stand out as barriers, and convert them to bridges so that goods, services, and people can move across this East Africa without any impediments.
Ruto has instructed Kenya's Minister for Trade to work with Ugandan counterpart to formulate guided trade agreements to facilitate Africa Continental Free Trade Area to harness opportunities for investment.
We have the raw materials in Uganda, we have gas in Uganda, we have the opportunity in Kenya, we have the raw materials in our region. Our business people should harness those opportunities, leverage on the friendship that we have as East Africans, and save us the foreign exchange and create jobs for the millions of young people in our region so that we can create wealth, we can share opportunity, and we can share prosperity.
Tanzania is proud that the East African crude oil pipeline will attract investments and improve the livelihoods of the people,
which is expected to be the longest heated oil pipeline in the world. When completed, this project will not only boost the economy of our two countries, but also create employment, knowledge transfer, skills development, and unlock East African oil potential.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir Mayardit hailed men and women who sacrificed their lives to liberate Uganda from the hands of colonialists.
Without them, this day would not have come to pass. And through them, Uganda is spearheaded the liberation of many African countries, including South Sudan.
while the chairperson of the East African Community and Burundi President Evariste Ndayishimiye emphasized that colonial ideologies still ravaging Africa should be dealt with.
Who like to maintain colonization ideology which came with egoism, nepotism, and imperialism. Excellency, for me, I note that we can only be strong when we come together, when we are one people with one destiny.
Somalia's president credited the Uganda government for laying foundation for prosperous stability by eliminating terrorism groups.
We are grateful to Uganda for training many of our brave security forces who are on the front line in the fight against international terrorism, as we are attending this great opportunity this day, this hour.
Countries of Rwanda, Congo, and Mali were represented by Minister for Public Service, Minister of State from East African Affairs, and Defense Minister respectively. The event was illuminated by a joint forces parade, squadrons of fighter jets display, and paratroopers jumping out of fighter planes. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has welcomed the First Lady of Kenya, Rachel Ruto, who is in the country together with her husband, President William Ruto, to attend Uganda's 60th independence anniversary. Kenya's First Lady was together with her two daughters, Nadia and June, plus her son-in-law, Dr. Alexander Ezenagu. Now, the two First Ladies had a tete-a-tete at State House Entebbe, during which they discussed various issues, including the drought that has hit parts of Kenya and has resulted in food challenges for the people of Kenya. They also talked about their work and family issues. Mrs. Museveni congratulated Mrs. Ruto upon her husband's victory in the recent presidential elections for Kenya. She said she was uplifted by President Ruto's acceptance speech and testimony glorifying God for the victory. Ruto said that because of the persistent drought in the country, especially in northeast Kenya, the President of Kenya plans to introduce irrigation and dams in some parts so that maize can be grown on a large scale to even supply those that do not get rainfall and have food challenges. About her work, Mrs. Ruto said she has been working with women since 2009, empowering them in agriculture, and now she wants to include climate change in the program. Uganda has marked 60 years of independence this Sunday with the national celebrations held at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. President Lauryn Kazimoto officiated the ceremony that attracted 5 other African heads of states and delegations from neighboring countries. Take a look.
The independence anniversary has been marked with pomp at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. President Yoweri Museveni officiated the ceremony that was attended by 5 heads of state and delegates from the neighboring countries. Men and women in uniform made the celebrations colorful with their meticulous parade. A display of the Air Force military capabilities and the military strength by flying past Kololo added more flavor to the celebrations. It ranged from the caravan fly past to helicopters carrying Uganda's flag and dropping down of the first ever paratroopers that the country has ever got.
And successfully gets to the ground. That one next. There we go. There we go. And he landed successfully.
There was also an exhibition of the science innovations that included electric bikes and electric buses, among others, that are made in Uganda by Uganda. During the function, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in the company of the 5 other African heads of states in attendance, condemned the exporting of African products in raw form.
External parasite groups are always interested in perpetuating that hemorrhage of resources and development energies from Africa to other places. What is most infuriating, however, are the comprador bourgeoisie, agents of foreign interests in Africa, who do 2 things. First of all, they oppose our value addition efforts so as to frustrate our industrialization efforts. Secondly, they are always importing everything from outside, including trivialities like dead people's hair. It is these processes that have stunted Africa's growth.
Museveni urged leaders to fight exporting African products in raw form, saying not adding value to products in Africa is like donating the continent's wealth to the foreign countries, and it denies jobs for the people of Africa.
We had already discovered that one of Africa's problems has been the curse of confining itself to the export of raw materials, where we always get less than 10% of the actual value of the end product out of those raw materials, and the resultant loss of jobs to the cleverer-led outsiders. The outsiders are better led. They take our raw materials, they get more money out of them, and create jobs for their children, when ours are here dying in the ocean trying to go to Europe.
Museveni also expressed concerns over the smallest gains by African states from the global business, yet the continent provides most of the raw materials world over.
Ugandans living here and abroad have joined the nation to celebrate 60 years of self-governance. Now, this was contained in their patriotic messages for the special day celebration apprehending the developments, especially since NRM gained power. Take a look.
Uganda's 60 years of independence anniversary has been phenomenal, with Ugandans at home and abroad pondering on the events of Tuesday, 9th October 1962.
The 4th Battalion King's African Rifles becomes the 1st Battalion Uganda Rifles. And to replace the Union Jack, the black, gold and red flag of the new young state, Uganda is born again, free and independent.
Even when the many celebrations took place at Kolo Independence grounds graced by heads of states from Uganda's ties, other celebrations surfaced in different parts of the country. Ugandans have testified that a lot has changed since the time of self-governance. Yasino Mare, famous NRM party diehard, confirms the day is worth celebrating.
The 30 years after independence of mismanagement of the affairs of our country, with the 7 breakdowns, 7 coups, change of government unconstitutionally. Those are the 30 years. Then you have the 30 years during NRM of at least management positively the affairs of this country. So we have to divide into 2. Much as we celebrate now the 60 years, but we had breakdown that made us now to work backward.
The journey of 60 years of Uganda's freedom state has witnessed transformation, political, social and economic development compared to many years ago.
We have 4,000 factories. The NRM inherited 40 or 50 factories. We have, NRM has managed to tarmac 8,000 kilometers. We don't suffer of electricity shortage. We have clean water. We have very few potholes from Kisoro to Arua or to Tororo. So really, we have done something positive.
Ugandans based in South Africa under the umbrella body, NRM Southern Africa chapter led by their patron Philip Kakulu, also shared the day's messages.
It's a remarkable achievement of peace he ushered in with his comrades, as well as creating a good investment environment, creating empowerment of women, empowerment of the youth, industrialization.
For all the women from South Africa and the diaspora at large, we would like to wish the country, our president, the country, and everybody in the diaspora from Uganda happy 60th anniversary.
The NRM national chairperson in South Africa, Ismail Luzige, reminded Ugandans not to take their freedom for granted.
This opportunity and my sincere gratitude to wish His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the 6th independence anniversary for this year. We pray for peace, good health, and resilience, long-lasting life.
Ivan Juko, weekly from Dutch, UBC News.
Budding business could become another major breakthrough for the tourism sector, with the possibility of adding value to Uganda's economy. Now, the crested crane is one of the most sought after bird species by tourists, whose protection and conservation remains paramount. Now, as Uganda celebrates 60 years of independence, the chairperson, Uganda Tourism Board, Daudi Migereko, says 50% of the world's birds are represented in Uganda.
The crested crane was chosen as Uganda's national bird, along with the Uganda kob, as part of the national emblem, the national identity. Filled with rare colors of Uganda's national outlook, the grey-crowned crane is about 3.3 feet tall, weighing 3.5 kilograms, with a wingspan of 6.5 feet. The feet are large, yet slender, adapted for balance rather than defense or grasping.
Now, this is a very rare bird that happens to be endowed with the colors that any human being would be interested in.
The young birds are grayer than adults, with a feathered face, with the wings that are predominantly white and contain feathers with a range of colors. This species and the black-crowned crane are the only cranes that can roost in trees because of a long hind toe that can grasp branches.
But it also moves in a very dignified way. When you see the crane moving around, it moves in a dignified way. And it is not the type of bird that is found everywhere. The Karoris, you can see the Karoris causing havoc in Kampala all the time, threatening the city. The crane is not like that.
These cranes are omnivores, eating plants, seeds, grain, insects, frogs, worms, snakes, small fish, and eggs of aquatic animals. Stamping their feet as they walk, they flash out insects, which are quickly caught and eaten. The birds are also associated with grazing herbivores, benefiting from the ability to grab prey items disturbed by antelopes and gazelles. They spend their entire day looking for food, while at night, the crowned crane spends its time in the trees, sleeping and resting. It is because of such beauty and uniqueness that the crested crane was chosen to be part of the coat of arms.
When you see this bird and its colors, these colors are rarely found in any other bird. And they are associated with our national colors. When you look at our national colors, and which is red, yellow, black, and then you look at the crane. The crane also happens to carry these colors, including white.
In the emblem, peace and security is well represented, clearly indicating that emblem designers had the country at heart. On tourism, the crested crane and kob were selected because of their rarity and uniqueness.
And it is our duty to take advantage of this amplify inform the world about its existence here, and we market the country.
The fact that tourists come to Uganda to take a glimpse of the crested crane in its natural form makes its protection more paramount.
In the 60s, they were highly respected. Even today, they are highly respected. And I can tell you, government has stepped up vigilance in terms of protecting rare game and rare birds. And the crane has been in a position to benefit from the vigilance of government, the law enforcement officers, in terms of protecting our rare animals and birds.
Although the grey-crowned crane remains common over some of its range, it faces threats its habitat due to drainage, overgrazing, and pesticide pollution. With the global population estimated between 58,000 and 77,000 birds, it was uplisted by the International Union for Conservation of Nature from vulnerable to endangered species in 2012. Tony Hilda, UBC.
Thank you, Mutoni Hilda. Now imagine being an expectant mother and hoping to give birth soon, only to deliver a set of twins on Independence Day. Now the family of late Juma Silva Jagenda and Udaya Namtewi experienced this on the 9th of October 1962 when Lilian Nakato and Silva Bogere Waswa were born. Now 60 years later, the twins are proud to celebrate a birthday with the Republic of Uganda, a fact that they have lived with over the years. Take a look.
The day was bright and the excitement filled the atmosphere as people prepared from villages to urban centers to welcome a new independent Uganda. But for the family of Mzee Juma Silva Jagenda and his wife Udaya Namtewi, their preparations were for something else. Having sought antenatal services from the government hospital in the central district of Masaka, the Jagendas already knew that they were expecting twins. And as the country regained its independence on 9th October 1962, the twins were born. These were to be named Silva Bogere Waswa and Lilian Nakato.
That the hospital staff, people showered us with gifts that they had to take us to a special room to be able to accommodate our gifts. Like, the excitement was unbelievable. Like, even when I talk about it, I remember the excitement and joy they used to talk about that day.
This is just a story that was told to them by their parents of what transpired on that day. It is an excitement about their uniqueness that was extended beyond home to school when they began studies.
They would make you feel so great, but I don't think we had made any contribution to being born on Independence Day, but the teachers would kind of lift it up before the students, make us feel special because remember we were twins, we were born on Independence Day. So like they tended to uphold us a bit up there.
I remember when I was in primary 7, people used to call me Independence Boy because I was born on Independence Day.
For Lilian Nakato, it is an experience that shaped her ambitions. She always wanted to be on top, to the extent of securing a job while still at university.
And sometimes it makes me feel I want to remain there even in academics. So I'll try to read ahead of people, and I was able to be on top academically for a long time.
They have both lived to see the unfolding of political events in the country, especially from the age of 7. The coming in of General Idi Amin Dada, the expulsion of Asians, and his eventual overthrow are some of the happenings that remain fresh in their memories.
When he chased the Indians, you know, at the beginning we were in school, The Indians were in their schools, we were in our own schools, and when the Indians left, we now went into the Indian schools. I was also one of those who joined Aga Khan, and you know, we felt so good. To us as children, we didn't understand what it meant to the economy, what it meant to the Indians, but we were just excited that the things we were admiring for a long time, we could now access them.
I was here when the guerrillas, when Museveni went to Rowelo. That war, I watched what was happening here, and I've always told the young men to go slow because they have not been here to see what actually has been happening.
One of Lilian Nakato's recollections of Idi Amin's regime remains what she describes as a double presidential marriage ceremony within 1 week.
I understand after the wedding, his advisors told him the wedding was not grand enough. A whole president, you needed to have invited presidents from other countries, this and that. And you remember he was a Muslim. I think he had done it the simple way. So then he told them, prepare. They prepared, he invited the guests. There were now so many. And he repeated the wedding with the same woman.
Some of her dreams may have been achieved. Blessed with no hassles for government jobs, but her pride of being Ugandan remains top. However, 60 years later, there are some missing links that she thinks could make Uganda more independent. It is an idea equally shared by her twin brother, Waswa Bogere.
Banks, all those parastatals and government would come and, you know, call us for interviews when we were not even interested. I remember I got my first job in public service when I was still at the university. So they had to wait for me now to join work. So those are some of the things I remember we are very good that time.
The moment you educate your child up to 6, then you are free of what we call fees. But you relax, so you struggle and say, okay, I'll take my child up to senior 6. After advanced education, then I'm free. But now you have to educate your child all the way up. So 60 years after independence, I think we should be in a better position than we are today.
From babies to toddlers, teenagers to adults, and now elders, the story of Waswa and Nakato tells the possibility of accomplishing a lot in society.
I've had an opportunity to travel to many countries, but sometimes I go to countries and they appreciate Uganda so much and you feel embarrassed. Like for them, what they've had, the good things they've had, they've taken them to heart, they've praised us for them, and yet you find the Ugandans don't even know or don't even care.
Nakato, a mother of 3, is due for retirement from service, while her twin brother, a family man too, is still active in transport business. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Wow. Thank you, Henry Okrut, for that story. Wonderful insight there. Now moving on, State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom has directed schools to strengthen the scouting movement clubs in schools to change the mindset of learners, love their country and participate in community work. The minister, also a scout, says as the country celebrates 60 years of independence, the scouting movement are also celebrating 107 years. However, parents and teachers should emphasize encouraging learners to join the scouting. Kabarole women, we'll be getting back to that story in just a bit. Now, Kabarole woman member of parliament, also the state minister for local government, Victoria Rusoke, has vowed to report cases of corruption happening in Fort Portal to higher authorities. Now, this follows complaints of abuse of office by the district accountants department and town clerks that is affecting the development of Fort Portal city.
Kabarole woman member of parliament, who is also the state minister for local government, has said Fort Portal Accounts Department and town clerks have been indulging in acts of corruption.
The truth will come out, dear ladies and gentlemen. The truth will come out. The truth will come out. I want to tell you those intimidations will not intimidate me. Because government has empowered you. If you decide to keep quiet, an English saying is, the world is not only bad because of the criminals, it is worse by you and me who know where the mistake is and we say to keep quiet. So the government of the Republic of Uganda, led by His Excellency Museveni, will not condone impunity.
Victoria Rusoke forwarded the complaints to the Office of the Inspector General of Government for further investigation.
Taking the law into your hands, refusing to obey the rules, and in this very act, it is very clear in black and white that the councils are the supreme bodies that must be respected. True. So when you assume powers because you are an employee, and you think you'll do what you want without respect of council decisions, the law will catch up with you.
The Deputy Inspector General of Government, Trinom Gisha, discovered that leaders were involved in cases of forgery and bribery.
Investigate the issues that have raised. The Director Anti-Corruption will stay here in the city together with a regional officer to ensure that these cases are investigated to the logical conclusion, and within a period of 3 weeks, decisive action will have taken place in the city.
Among the outstanding cases was misuse of Uganda Support Municipal Infrastructure Development Project set up to enhance institutional performance of program municipal councils. The Inspector General's sensitization program discouraged other councillors and stakeholders from attending Victoria Rusoke mobilization for them to attend.
No stone is going to leave unturned. For the first time, I want to request you, IDG, to come up with conclusions of some previous cases in this country committed in this very state.
The masses thanked President Yoweri Museveni for the leaders he elected and thanked Rusoke for the commendable job. The minister says the region is choking on corruption as a result of mismanagement of funds, poor administration, convinced to deprive taxpayers' money, among others. The Inspector General of Government ordered for the arrest of the district town clerk as investigations in the matter continue.
So the person who's the accounting officer was not there, and neither did he delegate. And there were so many questions that we really needed him to explain what the issues were. Unfortunately, he was not there. But we were able to summon him. He said he was in Kampala, that he had gone to meet the Permanent Secretary of Defense and also the Permanent Secretary of Local Government, who apparently also said they were not expecting him.
Previously, Fort Portal City was in the second position in fighting corruption, but currently, as per 2021 report, the city stands in the 56th position. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakova, has directed the Rakai District Police Commander to effect the arrest of all Land Committee and Board officials cited in carrying out fraudulent transactions in the district, especially those behind the issuance of double land titles. Nabakova's directive follows several complaints in the district by residents who are living in suspense over cases of double titling of their land.
The Lands Minister Judith Nabakova has visited Rakai District to intervene in a land case where residents of the Kakenke in Ramagwa sub-county are living in fear over claims of fraudulent land titles issued.
Tuli wano lwa nsonga za ttaka nti obukulembeze bw'eggombolola y'e Rwamagwa oba Area Land Committee bwatunda ekiteyaza 20 mu bumenyi bw'amateeka abantu ne baweebwa ekyapa ekyo nakyo ekiri mu bumenyi bw'amateeka kuba kyagabibwa mu biseera bya covid.
Tulina we twatuguze balala ettaka lyonna liri okwo ebiraalo byaffe gali okwo amalaalo gaffe kwe tuziikira. Maama akusaba otuyambe lwekyo kyetaagisa okwegula twegule tugende mu land board.
During the visit, Minister Nabakoba promised to resolve the matter and also directed the area police chief to bring to book the culprits.
First of all, the exercise was done illegally. There wasn't a public notice that was put out. The community did not know, apart from a few who were chosen. You've heard the LC1 chairperson claiming that he cannot read or write, but he's the LC who was duped into the transaction by the Area Land Committee. I've instructed the police to arrest members of the Area Land Committee who facilitated this funny deal.
In the areas of Bugona and Bale, Gunda, still in Rakai district, complaints of land title forgeries were also brought to the attention of the minister.
COVID yatawanya naye ututuse tetuja kusaga.
The engagements were attended by, among others, area members of parliament, local leaders and the RDC.
We really thank her because she has come and given us hope, restored hope and confidence in the people of Rakai district. We want to thank her for the full detail of the complaints that we had, full answers of the complaints we had, and our prayer is that these titles should be cancelled.
As the whole security of Uganda, we're here to guard people with what they have, their belongings and their lives. That is what the president has done for this country. Me, I work under the president. What the president has stated about his security is what I should enforce in the district. People shouldn't be scared about anybody. People shouldn't even ever have fear of what the government can do for them. Like how they did this time, they came to us. We are now on the locus, on the ground, and trying to put the situation back to normal.
Residents in these areas are equally worried about the future of their land tenancy.
Here I've instructed the landlord to make a receipt, pick a person whom he trusts, to make sure that the busul is collected annually, because that is the law. I'm not going to arm twist the law because I want to please somebody. That is the law. People have said COVID affected them a lot, and they cannot buy themselves out, and they are not ready to surrender part of their land. Meaning that if they cannot do that, what is feasible is payment of Busulu.
Navakoba reiterated her total commitment to secure land rights. The minister also held another related meeting in Chapa and Kibanda. It should be recalled that earlier this year, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni halted any form of unlawful evictions, although in some parts of the country, land eviction incidents are still being witnessed. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return after these messages.
MTN Kabode Super as you pay mpola for this smartphone. Make calls, update your WhatsApp status, watch YouTube, and Google anything under the sun with 2 GB worth of data every month for 7 months. Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly, or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN Kabode Super easy.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs.
Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone, the most affordable smartphone in Uganda. You get to enjoy free 1 GB for the next 11 months. My Airtel 4G smartphone, your best value for money. Visit the nearest Airtel outlet today and get one at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Our wetlands are being lost at a very alarming rate. Wetlands have become the most threatened ecosystem 3 times faster than the forest. With 35% loss globally since 1970, a quarter of wetland-dependent species are near extinction. This is a very serious loss to our economy and natural resource-based country. The government of Uganda is determined to reverse this trend. Therefore, my ministry calls upon fellow Ugandans to contribute to the conservation and sustainable use of the limited resources. Ugandans, stop cultivating, putting up buildings, and dumping in the wetlands.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Program.
Meet Professor Petero. He knows something every hustler in UG is gonna love.
Oh, see. You say I was just trying to get the documents to register for Airtel Money.
You don't need the documents. You just set it for register. Yes, become a safer and more efficient cash-free business today. Easy.
No mixing your business money with your Kameza money. Now, that's efficient.
Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us. It is UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Kazimoto and Muhammad Mugalu in sign language interpretation. Now we move on. In a bid to test the competence of students in various law schools of Uganda, an initiative dubbed the Legal Hotspot has been initiated to give law learners of higher institutions a platform to showcase various legal disciplines among themselves to test their legal acumen as they grow to become professional lawyers. Take a look.
Nkumba University has hosted the first Legal Hot Seat initiative targeting budding lawyers to showcase competency in the legal field.
But when it comes to company law, courts in England developed the ultra vires principle in order to protect shareholders in the companies against arbitrary investments.
The indoor rule was meant deliberately to let the third party that comes to deal with the company not bother a lot about how you run and made your decisions and sent this representative to stand for you. They are basically not supposed to dig into that.
UBC's Wadulo Mark Arnold, who is also a communications professional, was hosted to enlighten the students about basic communication skills that can help them in their pursuit to become effective lawyers.
I know I understand some concepts are very large to explain, but then that goes back to you as a lawyer, yeah? What are the ways I can decipher some of these things to explain them as easily as possible, as quickly as possible?
The Vice Chancellor of Nkumba University, Jude Lubega, welcomed the initiative and compelled the Law School of Nkumba University to uphold innovations so as to solve society's challenges.
We've provided you the e-learning system, but you've gone beyond and say we need to become smarter. Instead of having the library seated in here, I can access the library right from anywhere using the smarts. I must commend you.
Uganda currently has over 8 public and private law schools which take up to 4 years to complete an undergraduate law degree. The Law Development Center in Kampala is the only institution in Uganda that is approved over the bar course and confirm one as an advocate.
Proprietors of private institutions of learning have urged government to scrap fees on practical equipment because they affect their effective training. The Chairperson Education Committee of Parliament, Crested John Ntamuhira, proposes that government also invests in expanding hospitals so that medical intern students benefit from the training. This was during the second graduation ceremony for Jonas International College of Health Sciences in Buyikwe District.
Private higher institutions of learning are challenged with admitting students because they first try to get admissions in public institutions, and after failing, they turn to the private, which delays the process and at times some miss out. The Chairperson Board of Directors, Jonas International College of Health Sciences in Buyikwe District, Engineer Crested John Ntamuhira, expressed the need for joint admissions.
Since these students who are coming here are not foreigners, most of them are Ugandans, and those going to government schools are also Ugandans. You would probably think of having a joint admission. If you invite our principals, they participate those in the government, so that you do the distribution at once, so that we can all get equal numbers of students.
While speaking during the second graduation ceremony of Jonas International College of Health Sciences, where over 300 students were conferred with certificates and diplomas in nurse and midwifery, Ntamuhira said URA should come up with a plan to train and educate institutions on how to manage taxes.
Able to manage the tax, but above all, be helped on how remittances can be done. You wake up in the morning, you find an email, they are sending you a bill of about 300 million shillings that you have failed to pay the tax. It impacts on our students. When students go to train in government hospitals and the charges are high, being a private institution, chances are that fees will go to the students.
The Senior Examinations Officer, Uganda Nurses and Midwives Examinations Board, KIPROP, Irene, said it is important to equip the nurses and midwives with soft skills like communication for them to have a positive attitude and be empathetic to the patients.
Situation that the nurse should relate well with the patient, to be able to interact and get information so that you give a better care. I could develop empathy. A spirit of empathy is fitting in the position of a patient and feel if you were the one that were in that state, what care do we want to receive?
Officiating at the graduation ceremony, the Commissioner Health Training Institutions, Minister of Education and Sports, Dr. Safina Musene, urged the graduates to ensure they observe protective measures while handling patients, the fact that there is an Ebola outbreak in the country.
But also let us be available for our patients. We have known the precautions that we have available. We can protect ourselves as we serve our patients.
Heads of these institutions also think that if reforms in the technical vocational education training policy are implemented, it will give their students opportunity to train in the right life skills. I'm Navka Farida, reporting.
The United Nations Association of Uganda has called upon different stakeholders to empower youths to understand climate change adaptation for the betterment and conservation of the environment. The call was made during a conference on Uganda Model United Nations under the theme Gender Roles in Climate Change Adaptation at Chambogo University.
The adverse impacts of climate change remain a burden among the vulnerable, mainly the youths and the women. It is from this backdrop that United Nations Association of Uganda organized a conference to equip and skill the youths on environmental management. The conference attracted youths from the region and students from the different schools that showcased their equipped skills in the protection and conserving the environment.
A resource, a human resource, that is going to represent Uganda
at the global scene in handling these challenges that impact the global climate. The UN Association doesn't focus on this. We focus on the work of the UN in general, but on all issues that impact humanity, such as issues of peace, issues of international relations, issues of working together on human rights, and many other aspects.
If we have these young people appreciate the issues around climate action and gender roles, we are sure we will be making a tremendous contribution and step towards, solving the different climate issues. We also believe that education is power, knowledge is power. So we want them to know what they can do as young people. And as this project is aimed, we aim at accelerating the implementation of SDGs in East Africa.
Environmentalists say that youths are agents of change and continue to make increasing and significant contributions towards sustainable development despite existing structural and socio-cultural barriers.
We came up with this machine to solve the problem of air pollution and global warming in the world. Starting from
it is just wind and doesn't produce any fumes, so it is very crucial to improving our environment. We also use materials from our environment that would have caused
to eradicate the direct physical contact of people with light switches when they are putting on and off the light bulbs. That's how it's able to fight the effects of climatic change.
It is imperative that gender equality and youth empowerment continue to influence, shape and drive collective climate and human development effort. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
The board, management and staff of Kiramoto's Corporation congratulate the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Cabinet, Parliament, Ugandans and development partners upon celebrating the 60th independence anniversary. Kiramoto's Corporation is steering Uganda toward a vibrant and thriving mobility industry with capabilities to develop, make and sell sustainable mobility solutions in Africa. Kiramoto's Corporation has developed mobility solutions currently offering mass transit services in the city and across borders to the public. These include the Kayola EVS, a premium zero-emissions electric city bus with a range of 300 kilometers, and the Kayola Coach, an executive long-distance bus. The transition from polluting fuel-powered vehicles to locally built electric vehicles powered by renewable energy will create more jobs, enhance energy efficiency, and environmental stewardship.
We are now finding out that electric vehicles are cheaper in the long run. So we shall have like 2 stages. Stage 1 is to shift from diesel vehicles and pickups to electric ones.
Kiramoto's Corporation affirms her commitment to working with His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the government, the public, and development partners to secure a timely green mobility transition in Uganda. Happy 60th Independence Anniversary, Uganda.
Leaders who care create a good learning environment.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome back from that break, and now into the business scene. Stanbic Bank is to shower its customers with love through several activities that underline the bank's commitment to celebrate service in every aspect of its operations and the communities it serves. Stanbic Bank Chief Executive, that is Anne Juko, says the Love campaign brings life the bank efforts to drive Uganda's growth, a supportive partner that understands and serves the needs of customers.
Stanbic Bank is throughout the month of October celebrating with its customers, the community, businesses, the bank's teams and Uganda as a whole as the country marks its 60th independence anniversary. Stanbic Bank Chief Executive Annie Juko says Stanbic plans to showcase much more by having face-to-face activities and engagements, best highlighted by the planned regional markets.
So the purpose of this market day is to create that platform where they can come, interact, trade with each other, and advise each other on how best to do business going forward. This is the first of the market days. As you have heard,
Juko said several health centers that serve high numbers of expectant mothers will receive a range of essential items such as mama kits, beds, neonatal machines and other supplies depending on specific needs.
We're doing a customer service month. So all throughout this month we're going to celebrate our customers across the entire country. This week we are here in Kampala, next week we are in Bale, the week after that we're in Barara, and in the fourth week we will be in Kotokoto. And in each of those regions we are doing one thing, promoting our customers' activities and giving them a platform to showcase what they're doing and to create a market for their goods and services.
She was officiating the launch of Stanbic's Service Month activities at the Railways grounds in Kampala that was characterized by Kasita business community exhibitions of various merchandise. Kasita was represented by its chairperson, Thaddeus Musoke Nagenda.
First of all, we are benefiting from the bank. That's why we want our comrades to make sure they benefit from the bank, because we have a special assignment with Stanbic Bank partnership, whereby even you can access a loan without security.
The other major activity involves the planting of trees across the country to help reverse Uganda's receding forest cover. Earlier this year, Standard Bank Group emerged the most valuable banking brand on the African continent for 2022 in Brand Finance's annual ranking of the world's top 500 banking brands. Standard Bank increased its brand value by 26% to $1.5 billion.
Much as you have done so well, but we would like to get some feedback on how to run the show ahead of others for the foreseeable future. My name is
Habimana Deo compiled this report.
UBC News Tonight has come to a close, but do join us at 10 o'clock for this and much more stories. We will see you at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.